Welcome back, children of the night, to Blood and Syrup, a Vampire the Masquerade Lies Play podcast. I am your host, Count Vlad von Lestat, drinker of blood, keeper of the chronicle, and all around a spooky dude. Our coterie are still entangled in a brutal fight with the FBI, CSIS, and the Inquisition. Everett was removed from the scene by a friendly stranger. Iris embraced her monstrous self and killed several police officers before being staked into torpor. And Ridley returned to TJ Malones, summoning an army of bear boys to get his friends clear before discovering his son devastated Harvey. Abandon hope, all ye who listen here. Everett, you awaken in the back of a squad car that seems to have been pulled into an alley. You are under some coats in the sort of leg well of the back seat of a car. Up front, you hear just a long, protracted sigh, and a man in English says, "All right, laddie, you can get up now."
I'll sit up and have a look at this person.
So before you as a detective, he's wearing the same sort of light SWAT vest with, that classic like detective gonna break into a building thing where it's like they wear the vest with the badge.
Yep.
Big red beard, and just kind of like running his hands back through his hair. He's got just a tangle of red hair. And his face looks a little bit like a blast radius of something. Like he's got lots of scars that have healed over, but rough looking guy. Think like Mickey Rourke, either in Sin City or just like out of Sin City, just as a person. So it's not like he's got like bandages and everything over it. It's just like a guy who's clearly seen some shit. Despite that, very handsome dude. He's just one of those people who wears. He's clearly seen a lot of action, but wears it very well. And he kind of twists around, says, Mr. Fry, I gotta tell you, that bleeding out of your forehead thing, that was a might good little thing you did.
Well, I wasn't trying to hurt no one or nothing like that. Look, you seem to know my name, but I have no idea who you are.
Ah, yes, you'll have to excuse me manners. My name's Sergeant Oh, shit, lost it. There we go. Sergeant William McGregor. Sorry, been around a long time. It's been a busy day. A little bit worried about my partner. And he kind of reaches over to shake your hand, which is honestly, Everett, something that like no one has done in a really long time and is an oddly human gesture. That just seems kind of nice.
Yeah, I'll take his hand. And as I shake it, I'll say,
you don't seem too fazed by me sitting up in the back of your car after getting shot in the head.
He kind of lets out like a big bit of laugh and says, "Oh, laddie, you and me, we're both of the same blood, if that makes any sense."
Right. Kindred, then?
Oh, aye. Quite some time. Used to use it to use these guys. He taps his fangs like, use these to tear out a few Nazi throats back in the day.
Well, that really is something. Why am I here? Why am I not bleeding out of my head on the ground?
So if you remember, Tyler, you actually used Rouse the Blood to cause that effect.
Yeah.
The wound itself hurt, but isn't. You're kind of shocked and I think a little disturbed to discover isn't fatal to you. It was a small caliber bullet, and feeling your forehead, there's definitely a bullet hole in it, and you've got blood kind of down the side of your face. Sergeant McGregor explains that he's been kind of keeping an eye on you from a distance for a while now. He is Billy Kincaid's partner on the force. And when he kind of started catching her slipping you information, he kind of quickly copped to the fact that it was through all like vaguely kindred related things. So as a result, he's been just kind of keeping an eye on your progress. And when he heard what was going down, and he and Billy were dispatched, he put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly and was pretty concerned, largely because Billy hasn't caught on to the kindred business yet. The masquerade is still intact, as far as she knows.
That's not how I remember it from what I heard them talking about when I was bleeding out on the ground. She said, I thought he was...
He said that. So she shot you.
Okay.
He leaned in. Okay, Miles, you're shaking your head. Am I misremembering what happened?
No, she shot him. He dropped, and then she like cried out, No, I thought he was one of you. That's why I shot him.
And she had like a breakdown.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. She...
One of you doesn't necessarily mean vampire. Like she doesn't know explicitly.
I may have fucked this up. I didn't remember what I said one of you. No, that's fine. That's what I said. So that's what happened. Okay. So in that case, yes, she's aware of kindred, but is sort of staunchly in the camp of people who are, she's aware that there's something kind of spooky going on, but think like people on the periphery of Buffy. They're aware that weird shit's happening, but like she doesn't know about the masquerade. She might know that vampires exist. Sergeant McGregor confesses to the fact that he let her in on the fact that he is a vampire. But he's playing it up as like, I'm the only one who's good. The rest of them, we gotta kill him. So she was very confused, but basically, Everett, the reason he's congratulating you is by making yourself bleed out of your forehead. You convinced Billy that you are in fact human, which means that you can actually disappear now. She thought she was shooting a vamp, which would have confirmed a lot of her greatest fears and really blown the top off the whole thing. But McGregor was able to get you away before she realized that. So she's pretty fucked up now. She thinks she shot her friend in the head, which he's like not thrilled about. But it did mean that she didn't realize your vampiric nature. And based on kind of the way he's eyeing you, like there's a bit of the game recognized game about just how much horrible shit you have to do as a kindred. So like, it's one thing to be like vampires are real, and you're like, oh, interesting. It's nothing to be like, here's the kind of horrible shit we get up to. So he thinks it's a spot, just again, a brilliant spot of thinking on the fly to just pump blood out of the wound. But he is a little bit worried about Billy.
Okay. So I think kind of circling back to being in the back of this car, Everett will just ask like,
Why am I here? Why did you help me? Are you helping me? Is this help? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So McGregor explains that he had to get you away because the Inquisition was moving in. And he again just kind of lets out one of those sighs, and he's like, I'll tell you, they come back every few years, and there's not a whole lot you can do other than run and hide unless you can kill them. Fuck, these accents are all over the map. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care, listeners.
I'm going to start picking it up. Talking to Ridley, talking to the Scottish fella, talking if Jocelyn ever shows up again, the Australian accent, all of that fucks with my Southern accent so bad.
Fair enough. Great. Well, I look forward to that happening instead of just me every time.
Yeah.
So Sergeant McGregor explains that the Inquisition has come to Montreal. There are raids occurring throughout the city right now. Known and suspected kindred layers are being attacked, and he only copped to this because Billy slipped him the information. So he went with her, hoping that he'd at least be able to get you away. He doesn't know too much about your compatriots because you've only ever really communicated one way with Billy. But he just kind of like stares at you kind of levelly and says, "Oh, aye, laddie, that's the best we're gonna get." Look, I'm not a big fan of the Sabbat. I think they gotta go. They've turned this city into something awful. I was turned back when we were fighting a big evil overseas, and the Sabbat are the closest I've seen to that here. But since their head honcho fucked off and died in that tower, we got a real chance here. But the Camarilla, they're moving in, and that's going to be trouble for everyone. But you seem like a good one. You seem like you might be the man I've been looking for. One who could be on the inside.
I see. I don't know if there's going to be much of an inside left. I'm not sure how in the know you are, but there's a major Camarilla gathering tonight.
Oh,
the Prince is here. Yeah, and if the Inquisition is doing raids tonight, aren't all of those kindred in serious danger?
So McGregor explains that the masquerade itself has remained largely intact in Montreal. That's largely because the Sabbat are such weird fanatics that like they often get blamed as serial killers, not necessarily as vampires. So the masquerade has remained fairly secure, which means that something like Elysium isn't a concept that the Inquisition is aware of here. They're attacking different hideouts, but they're not attacking Elysium itself, which is, I mean, admittedly good news for you in case your buds got there. But it would seem that enough of the masquerade is intact that they are unaware that there is an Elysium, because there hasn't been one here in hundreds of years. So basically, what McGregor would like from you is he saved your ass, so he's kind of asking for a favor. But he explains that from what Billy has explained, and then kind of from what he's pieced together from seeing what information she fed you and then what happened, he feels like you're on the up and up. That you're kindred like he is, but he might be anarch, but he feels like he can trust you. He feels like you might be his kind of person. So all he's asking you to do to pay him back for this is to go to Elysium, to kind of be his man on the inside, and to help him determine, as Ridley might put it, like who's a scumbag, who isn't, and basically are the new tenants going to be worse than the old ones? Because he's kind of tried to keep the Sabbat. He's picked them off here and there and kind of done what he can, but up till now he's basically been waging a one-man war.
Sergeant McGregor, you are aware of what you're asking me, right? I am newly minted Camarilla enforcement. I was sent here to make way for the Prince, to clear out Sabbat, to clear out rogue vampires like yourself, a threat to the masquerade. I mean, if they find out, I'm not just going to get a slap on the wrist here. What's the end game? What's your big play?
Well, laddie, let me ask you, have you met the Prince?
No, I haven't.
Have you talked to him?
No, I have not.
Do you know his name?
No, sir, I do not.
Right. I think it's best you start thinking about who actually sent you and what they actually sent you to do.
Well, I do know that much.
He just kind of like gestures broadly. Said, it just seemed to me that for a man who's pretty committed to the mission of the Camarilla, as it sounds like, perhaps you would have made contact with him by now, huh?
Look, maybe,
or maybe they would have reached out to you.
Maybe it's a holdover from my old life, but I follow, and I gesture to his badge. I follow the chain of command.
And he kind of nods. Also, you can tell as he like pulls out some dog tags and looks at them that the sergeant rank likely isn't his like police rank. It's likely like an old war rank he's still carrying around.
I see. Okay.
That said, referring to him as sergeant is absolutely the correct call. The more you look at him, Everett, the more you see kind of a man who almost looks like he's playing dress up. He's a cop, sure, but he looks like he's dressing, someone dressed him to be background on a cop show. Like he wears it uncomfortably.
I see. Okay.
But he says, well, look, I'm not asking you to do anything you don't want to do yet. But me, I can't go in there. I can't find out any more information, but you can find some things out. And I suspect if it turns out that they're up to no good, maybe you'll tell old Sergeant McGregor, eh?
Right. Sure. I'll see what I can do about that. Let me ask you something, Sergeant McGregor. Does the Camarilla know about you? Is the name William McGregor a popular or unpopular name with the Camarilla?
He just smiles and says, laddie, back across the pond, it was quite an infamous one. But here, no one knows me here. Here, I'm just another cop on the beat. And then drops into French, and he's like, it's really helpful that my accent doesn't carry over into French. It really helps sell that I'm just another pencil-pushing cop, just, only a few years from retirement. Got to get that overtime, am I right? Watched a lot of a TV show called The Wire. It really helped me with the lingo.
Yeah, whatever I drank didn't do the accent thing for me. That's kind of cool.
He kind of laughs and says, well, laddie, that's because I had to learn it.
Oh, well, shit, all right. Hey, look, you mentioned across the pond. You know a fella by the name Ridley Beef?
He just kind of shakes his head and he's like, sounds like an alias to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I always figured that, but all right. So
he looks at his watch and he's like, listen, I hate to cut this short, but you got a party to get to, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Look, you got a change of clothes here. I'm a little bit of a mess after that whole raid business.
He sighs and he says, all right, lad, but now you really do owe me, and this better come back. And he just gestures to like all of this. And he gestures for you to come around to the trunk. And he opens it. And inside there's a perfectly pressed sort of like green military jacket with medals that, despite being very old, looks like it just came out of the bag. And a traditional kilt and a sporran. And he's just glowering at you and he's like, now I let you wear these. You really owe me.
This is not what I was expecting.
He just throws his arms up and is like, well, I'm sorry, lad. I'm not a fucking Walmart.
Right. No. Yeah, of course. Look, keep your ceremonial garb. I'll try and clean up on the way with some of the coats that you had left on me. I don't think this whole voice and accent is going to fly with that outfit.
Yeah, he just shrugs and says, honestly, lad, if we're concerned about accents, you're on the wrong fucking show. And then he gets in the driver's seat and you hop in the back and the two of you take off towards Elysium. Everett, is there anything you think in the back seat there as you speed off into the night?
I'd like to take out my phone that I used to text Iris and let her know that I'm safe and that I'm going to Elysium because it's the safest place for a vampire to be tonight.
Cool. Well, let's see if Iris gets that text.
Well, now I don't know that Ridley's illiterate, so I'll send it to Ridley too. So
right.
I was thinking player like
I understand.
Yeah, I'll send it to Ridley as well.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Says the guy who fucked up a continuity point from a show we recorded 2 days ago. But it's 2020. Every day is like 9 years. So great. Ridley, you come booking up the stairs into a bloodbath. There's a massive creature that still distinctly looks like Iris, but like Iris at the end of a Guillermo del Toro movie where she finally steps out of the shadows, Iris. There are like she ripped apart most of the people beforehand. If dear listeners, if you'll recall, last episode Miles rolled. She had to get best of 3 and rolled success on all 3, except she also got a bestial failure. So she basically killed most of the people in the room, and then drifted off into sweet Toreador Artland. But there are still a few kind of limping through, and sure enough, the reinforcements that were called for by the sister on the radio are starting to pull up outside. Ridley, you see a lady in kind of vaguely shattered SWAT gear holding a pool cue triumphantly in the heart of Iris, whose limbs are spasming a bit as she kind of slumps down to her knees. It almost looks like her fingers are starting to recede. The elongated limbs are slowly shriveling as she remains in torpor. What do you do?
How many cops are in the room?
So there's the SWAT lady who's got the pool cue. There are 2 more SWAT people who are a little injured, and there's 1 agent who's hiding behind the bar. And then there's people driving up outside.
Okay. Ridley will drop his shotgun and just hold his face because he's like covered in blood spray and he's like horrific burns to the point that he's unrecognizable. Just yelling, "They're using magic! They fucking burn you with magic!" And he'll just stagger towards the 2. And then when he gets there, he just wants to reach out, grab their heads, and then just crank their heads sideways. Like he just wants a clean neck break horizontally.
Okay. I'm gonna need from you, sir, a deception of some sort. So let's go with subterfuge and manipulation.
Well, that's 3 failures.
Sorry, bud. They turn and open fire with automatics as you stagger forward. Now you can still try and reach them, but you're going to be under heavy fire. So I'm going to need, please, a stamina and survival as you do that like awesome thing that always happens in Superman movies where like just a bunch of people are machine gunning at him and he's like walking forward, or like Wonder Woman pressing across no man's land, where it's just like theoretically the gunfire shouldn't kill you, but there was a lot of fucking gunfire as they open up with automatics.
Alrighty. That is 2 successes.
Okay. So you, I think with 2 successes, I'll say you can reach one of them and go for your snappy, stabby.
Oh, if he can only get to 1, then I think this is a bull rush. Like he wants to pick up his guy and body, like hammer the second one. Like he's got to work like a domino here.
With your roll, you can only grab at 1. Once you have that one, we can.
Oh, fuck it. I'll kill him and throw him at the other one then. That's fine. Yeah. Let's fucking kill this guy.
Give me strength and brawl, please. Meanwhile, Miles, you have entered a state of torpor, which is what happens to vampires who have been staked or who've taken too much damage, which means that you are trapped, vaguely aware of your surroundings, except you can still feel that pulse running through you, and you might be out, but the voice in your head doesn't seem to be. So can you please go ahead and roll me I'll say also a stamina and survival, please. Ryan, what'd you get?
3 successes.
Oh, yeah, you fucking destroy that guy. What do you do?
Oh, then, you know what? There's the temptation, but I think he could just let him hit the floor. And then I think it's full saber-tooth leap up kind of to the height that you get off the top rope of a wrestling match and just onto the second guy into the floor.
Okay, great. Miles, what did you get?
Sorry, I need to know whether I still have the amped up stats or not, because if not, then I have no survival.
You do have the amped up stats, yes. In fact, you only have the amped up stats right now because Iris Dunn is out, but Metathex is
still with the 2 hunger?
Yes, until the effects wear off.
Four successes.
Oh, damn. Okay, so a couple things happen at the same time. Ryan, I need a strength and I just had you put together a dice pool. What did you get on yours?
For our second boy, that is also 3 successes.
Okay. So time slows. Iris, again, you're kind of drifting, but you still have that beautiful unblocked memory of poetry again. And honestly, if this is how you die, at least you kind of reconnected with that, at least for a moment. But then, as your body continues to pulse, the pool cue begins to slowly slide out of your chest, as the drac and what resides within it running through your veins manipulates your very organs to reject the stake. So, Ridley, as you leap up and off the first dead SWAT guy, aiming at the second one, under the arc of your leap, the lady SWAT agent who was like holding the pool cue suddenly finds it flying through her eye and out the back of her head as it's forced out of Iris's chest. So she falls back as you leap over her and land on the next SWAT guy. You make visual contact with TJ Malone's slumped, pulped head, and with a bestial cry, what do you do to the SWAT person?
I think he just starts screaming the word no when he sees TJ's dead. And when the guy hits the ground with him on top of him, he pulls a knee up and just pins his top, like his left shoulder, and grabs the arm and just is still screaming no. And he'd like to rip this guy's arm off and then just start beating him to death with his own arm, if possible.
It happens to the best of us.
If possible, please and thank you.
So you start going to town on that guy, just screaming no. Iris, kind of like being sucked out, kind of like almost the bottom of a drain, or kind of ejected from the end of like a water slide. You're suddenly slammed back into consciousness. But you can feel your kind of jacked up powers beginning to ebb. As you look down, you can see that same sort of black tar substance that you encountered in the sewers, and when you tried to become a god that one time. Typical day for Iris. And as that begins to leak out of you, you can feel the drac draining. So the clock has begun on your feral abilities. That said, this lady is still, like, with a pool cue through her eye, is kind of like holding a pistol up towards you. What do you do?
How sharp are my claws? Can I literally like sever her hand?
Oh yeah. They're like razory hands.
That's the first step for sure.
Okay, so she's doing that thing where it's like someone who's been like grievously head wounded but isn't dead, or she's just like, the last thing that's being communicated from her brain to her body is raise your gun and shoot this thing. You slice off the hand. She almost doesn't seem to notice. She just raises the stump as blood sprays from it, and you see like a look of confusion. It's not quite linked, but like the finger seems to be twitching near the trigger. Like she definitely thinks she's shooting you right now, but she's still standing there. What do you do?
Can I probably try to Kalima her heart out?
Look,
I'm pissed. This is not what I wanted.
Understood. And I mean, admittedly, you do have experience Kalimawing hearts out.
It's not your first time, yeah.
Yeah, it's not your first rodeo.
It seems to be my standard go-to when I get really pissed.
Yeah. So, all right. So can you please roll me a strength and I forget, did I give you melee or brawl?
You gave me melee.
Okay. So go with strength and melee. Ryan, the SWAT guy is dead, but you're still mad. Are you still beaten?
Oh, no, because there's a guy behind the bar who was hiding. And I think it's just immediately from where he is, it's sort of like smash, 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 and then just release corpse and just sprint towards the, like, it's vampire turn speed towards guy behind the bar.
All right, so he stands up and just yells, "Sanguine, you must die!" In English, and holds out what looks almost like a flintlock pistol, and fires it at you. Do you try and dodge it, or do you try and endure it?
No, it's Inquisition. No, fuck it. He's fucking livid. This is TJ, man. Fuck this whole goddamn bullshit. No, man, he's hopped up. Fuck. All right,
this bud. Stamina and survival, please, as you leap through a bullet. Meanwhile, Miles, what did you get on your Kalima check?
4 successes.
That's enough to Kalima. All right, go ahead and describe your coup de grace.
I think it's like an initial puncture, and then like slowly pressing into it, so it's not like a snatch and grab. It's more like I'm gonna bore in, give it a twist, and pull it.
Like you're a child operating Snowpiercer?
Yeah.
Just in, twist, pull. Yeah, all right, great.
Yeah.
So the heart comes out. Here's the real question: do you feast on the heart?
Sure.
Great. You can go ahead and knock one of those hungers off as you chow down on fresh heart.
Thanks.
Brian, what'd you get?
2 successes.
Okay, so you're going to take 1 point of aggravated damage, but you reach him. It doesn't stop you. This is very much a T-1000 having his head blown off, but still running. In this case, I think it hits you kind of just beneath your shoulder. So it's not a vital organ. The bullet explodes when it hits you, so it does like blast a little crater in you. But TJ's back there, man.
Great. He's gonna just like one clawed hand just like slap the gun out of the way, but he's got a lethal body, which means his attacks do aggravated damage to mortals. So I think he's probably taking like broken hands with it, and he's gonna grab him by the collar and grab him by the crotch, and just pick him up and flip him over on the bar, almost like a suplex. While yelling like, TJ didn't do anything fucking wrong.
Right.
And then I've got something nasty if this works. I don't know if you want me to just keep
I'm not going to
going.
let you roll for it. You rolled to survive getting shot. That was my can you do what you want to do? So now you can do what
while
you
he's got him there, he reaches behind the bar and he shatters the glass. He goes, TJ didn't fucking hurt you. I'm going to fucking hurt you. And it's just broken bottle in the gut and just another bottle and smash it. I told you I'm going to fucking hurt you. Like right in the crotch, third smash. Then I fucking die right in the throat. And then he'll kick him off the bar and take a heavy breath and be like, oi, big spooky, what the fuck is going on outside? Fucking hell.
Oh, that's
his shoulder.
That's a good question that applies to both of you. There is a tremendous crunch of metal, like almost like the sound of a train hitting a car on the tracks, as an armored personnel carrier crashes through the front of the bar. The back door kind of dropping, and you hear the actual legitimate clank of armor as motherfuckers wearing the mark of the Inquisition step down, full plate. One of them's got a flamethrower. One of them has 2 silvered blades. There's a lady in Wolverine claws. And behind them, there's someone kind of in the shadows with a megaphone who's like, pardon me, everybody. Look, I know this is real stupid looking, but you're kind of pretty good at fucking up our shit. So, behold the might of the Inquisition, I suppose. Again, I'm real sorry they look this dumb. It's the best we got. All right, fuck yourselves and die now, please. Go get them. And with that, the armored legion of the Second Inquisition storms into TJ Malones to face off against the apparently 2-person murder spree party of Iris Dunn and Ridley Beef. The coterie has improbably been attacked by faith hunters. The deepest, darkest secret of the Inquisition. It's important to note at this point in our adventure that it's best to think, and I was reading some articles about this on the weekend, it's best to think about the Second Inquisition not as one unified force, but as a bunch of splinter factions. Unlike the previous Inquisition that was like one unified body saying like, let's fucking do it. This is the Second Inquisition. There's just so many different groups all kind of converging on the idea of kindred at once. That said, there are still true believers, and there are still those remnants of the Society of St. Leopold, the classic kindred hunting organization that has existed throughout time. And although that name will mean absolutely nothing to Iris or Ridley, these motherfuckers have literally stepped out of time. These are the classic Van Helsing level, like descendant of a descendant of a descendant vampire hunters. And that, my friends, is who you find yourselves facing down. So, to recap, you are facing 4 knights, essentially. One wielding a flamethrower, kind of laden with holy symbols. As with all of this, all of their gear, please do imagine that it's just slightly too ornate in a way that I feel like the Catholic Church has only ever really pulled off. Just a few too many embellishments of like it's very fancy. It's beautiful, but like in Warhammer terms, like this is like Age of Sigmar level. Like, oh, we really added a lot of embellishments to this flamethrower, so it doesn't look like, you know, a stick with fire coming out of it. It's got gilt gold, and there's craftsmanship here because there's belief here. These are weapons and armor of faith meant to defeat horrors out of hell itself. So we've got Flamethrower Knight. We've got X-23, Little Lady Wolverine. We've got double swords. And we've got one classic kind of sword and board guy with a morning star. So big shield and a morning star. And they come tromping down the back of this APC. Honestly, if anyone's watching The Mandalorian, like Mandalorian armor is a good way to think about this. It's how a modern armorer would conceive of knight's armor. So it's a lot more flexible. They can move, but it is still like what you would send to fight what Iris looks like right now. So they come tromping down into the remains of TJ Malones. Ridley and Iris, what do? You have a moment as this thing is crashing through the wall and the Inquisitor from inside the APC is making his little speech to kind of have one of those quick, like, you know, buddy cop moments to confer as these assholes start to come down the ramp. What do you do?
I don't think I talked to Ridley. I think I talked to the voice in my head to see if he's got any tricks up his sleeve. / my first impulse is to try to take off a helmet and puke that black stuff into one of them so that it takes one of them onto our side.
I love how quickly you went from like inspirational poet to like rage zombie from 28 Days Later or like Venom. Just like, I must spread the symbiote. That's amazing. Great. No, I love it. It's the right call. Ryan, what would Ridley do?
Ridley, I think the moment it hit and he heard fire, he would just be hucking every bottle with the most X's on it he can at the APC, the floor in front of the APC. And then he'd just be trying to hit that flame trooper. And the moment the flamethrower comes through the door, just over the bar and the fuck into the back room, just away from fire. Because he has been burned so much. He doesn't want more. He doesn't need more.
Okay. So, Ridley, we're going to start with your hucking bottles. Because I feel like, weirdly, it's one of those scenes where, like, Iris kind of drops into, like, a creepy, spindly, like, I'm going to murder you stance. And you just start whipping bottles over her head at the vehicle as the ramp slams down. Go ahead and I think we're going to do strength and athletics. I almost made this a firearms, but that seems unfair.
I'm okay with it being firearms, whatever you want. If you think it'd be thrown, I'm cool with it.
No, I feel like athletics is throwing. And also,
Cool.
You're not aiming, really. You're just kind of tossing them near the flamethrower trooper.
Spray.
Who I will say, so in terms of the order, it's like the sword and board, like, shield guy with the riot shield is, like, kind of coming down first. But flamethrower would be soon thereafter. Because there's no sense sending melee people in before you light everything on fire.
Yeah, it's a bad idea to put the flame trooper at the back of the squad.
Everybody
it really
rush
defeats
in.
the purpose.
Oh,
I'll cover you.
We need so many more Inquisitors.
2 successes.
Okay, so I'm going to say that with 2 successes, everything is lightly doused. It's not like you're not having the best luck, but it's a bit. It'll help. And then you're booking it, right?
Yeah, man. I don't want to be in here when this place fucking goes up. It's covered in liquor.
Okay, so you're rushing back to Everett's office for cover.
I wanted the stairs down wherever that door is.
Okay, you're going for the
To the
stairs down.
storeroom. Yeah.
Iris, you stand alone against an armored personnel carrier full of assholes. I feel like this is very much Jon Snow in the Battle of the Bastards, but you could even the odds a bit if you had a couple of people on your team. So you flip into the voice in your head. You can hear it sounds, and kind of as soon as you try and contact it, you get a bit of a headache. And it sounds almost like it's out of breath. What do you say to it?
We've gotten ourselves into a bit more trouble, so if you have any help, we can sure use you right now.
I rearranged your internal organs to eject the wood, and then I put them back where they were supposed to be because I'm cool like that. I'm currently leaking out of you at a fairly quick rate.
Can I pull you back in?
Like if this voice in your head could do an exhausted shrug, just I can assist a bit more, but not much. Listen, let me ask you something. This is somewhat awkward. Is your intent to partner with me? You said we. Is this you're here to serve me, right?
I thought it was kind of the other way around.
Oh yeah, this isn't going to work out at all. Look, I was pissed when you stopped me from getting my host. And I gotta admit, I'm a little pissed now, but you helped me grab a couple more bodies on the way out. We'll call it evensies.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, till next time, Iris Dunn. Metatheix thanks you. Let's go fuck some shit up.
Yes.
Which night are you gonna try and de-helm?
Probably double swords, because I find them the most dangerous with their if it's coated in silver.
Okay. So currently you've got like shield guy in front, you've got flamethrower and double swords right behind him, and then you've got X-23 up the ramp a bit with her claws. So you can get at him. You'll just have to. I'll make you roll to get past shield guy.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna need, please, a dexterity and I don't know, melee. I think because this is very much like a. It's that classic like hoplite thing where it's like, I got to get my spear up and over the shield.
Three successes.
Okay. Take 1 point of superficial damage because as you reach up and over, the guy with the mace just cracks you in the side of the ribs as hard as he can. But good news is, particularly based on your specific bane, which, if I recall, one of the ones you took was around vampire mythology. So the good news is, in all the vampire stories you've ever read, maces don't do anything weird to vampires, so you're fine. But you reach over, and it's just like one of those. It's so weird because I'm just describing what I'd normally describe in Mythos Mysteries, but like it would be the monster doing it instead. It's you. You reach over with the claws, and you see the double sword like bring his blades up in front of his face, expecting you to go for his throat. But instead, not unlike a Three Stooge, you just chuck him under the chin when you get up there, tipping the helmet off. Underneath, you see like an Idris Elba looking motherfucker. Strikingly handsome, again, like battle scars for days, looking just like genuinely kind of taken aback that you knocked his helmet off. What do you do?
Well, I do the hold his head, hold his jaw, and do the Linda Blair into his mouth. Great.
You vomit Metatheix into Idris Elba. The knight opens his eyes, and as you kind of lean in, and he just says, "My blood is laced with silver. Good luck, you blood-sucking bitch. At which point you open your jaw and say what before you spit Metatheix into him?
Eat shit, bitch.
And with that, you Linda Blair venom symbiote goo into this man's face. And you hear the guy in the back be like, oh God, what? Oh no, light him up, killer, burner. You're all wearing armor, you'll just be hot. So the flamethrower guy lights up. Unfortunately, everyone is doused in bar booze. So the whole crew goes up. And it's, again, everyone's in armor, so it's like, and they're not, as we said from Ryan's rule, not like soaked, but enough that it's just kind of like causes a moment of chaos. And from inside the car, you're, what the damn hell? Oh, that's what the bottle's, fuck. At which point, the armored carrier flips up onto its side. And from outside, you just hear a car horn start to blare. Iris, you stumble back on fire, kind of waving your arms around, but generally kind of get clear. As the nights begin to close on you, you see the armored carrier flip over. And from outside, you hear the voice of your old pal, Azaria Tyrell, just yell, we're not getting this rental's insurance back, are we? All right, let's go. And suddenly, the guy with the flamethrower gets shot in the head by a high-powered bullet that rips through the armor and out the side of his head, causing him to spray flame over half of the bar, which begins to go up. And a man walks in, kind of like trying to sight with a sniper rifle, and just yells over his shoulders like, hey, kid, I can't shoot at this range, so you're going to do your thing? Iris, as you stumble away, you can feel your body beginning to twist and crack. As it begins to kind of come back into its, so your knees crack back into their normal position. Unfortunately, without Metatheix on board, this is all wildly unpleasant. So you kind of stumble against the bar. You see Azaria kind of like get out, dust broken glass off herself out of the driver's side. And she kind of looks to you and she just goes, Iris, and like starts rushing towards you. You see this guy kind of like, again, with a sniper rifle. Behind him, there seems to be a 13-year-old, like in a skinny little guy, Japanese guy in a suit, and he's on his phone in the back seat. And the guy with the sniper rifle is like, any fucking time, kid, and he just holds up a finger and he just continues to type away. Iris, everything's kind of going pear-shaped. Ridley's fucking gone. You're losing your demon powers real fast, but they all seem to be yelling at this kid. What do you yell to get this kid to enter combat?
Stop being a little troll on your phone and fucking do something.
He glares up at you and like blows. He's got like a big sweep of hair across his face. He just kind of like huffs it out of his eyes. And he just says, I'm not a troll. So disrespectful. Fine. He just throws his phone down and immediately leaps up onto X-23's back and snaps her neck. And then proceeds to just fucking wreck shit. He just goes to town. This guy is just like flurry of blows. The guy with he like just like punching, moving out of the way of blades. The guy with the two swords is just like, his eyes have gone completely jet black. He's just screaming and stabbing his friend with the shield in the back a bunch. Azaria comes running over and just kind of shoots you a quick grin and says, hell of a night, eh, Iris?
You have no idea.
I think I'm getting a pretty good one. Let's get the fuck out of here. Is there a back door?
There is, yeah.
Okay, great. And she leans over her shoulder. Like, Noelle, Majima, come on, let's go. And the kid just like shrugs from the top of the flipped APC and is like, first you don't want me involved. Now you want me involved. which is it gonna be, Azarian? And she's like, just shut up and go. And like you see Noel just kind of grab him basically by the back of his coat and pick him up. He's like, hey, no, put me down. His like legs and arms are kicking embarrassingly. And he kind of slings the sniper rifle over his shoulder and starts to run. Ridley, you hear this commotion and you see a weird coterie you've never seen helping Iris come like booking down the stairs.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ridley is like rushing back in with like a shotgun and a bandolier of shells he got from the cops outside because guns trump knight armor. You fucking did it. All right. I got a fucking cop car. Let's fucking move. Everybody in the back of he's fucked up in front. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
The guy with the sniper rifle just shoots you. Like there's kind of like a grin. He's like, "Oh, you're right. Knight armor sucks against guns. I like your style. We should go though." So the rest of you book it through. You get back outside to where Harvey is. You hear the roar of motorcycles as the Bear Boys just fucking descend on this place. There's a sound of gunfire. Unfortunately, you only have one squad car out here. And Azaria is like, hi, yeah, sorry about all this. Listen, do you only have the one car? We kind of wrecked our limo. We're on our way to Elysium, and
yeah, that's fine. Just pile in the back. They got room. I'll open the doors when we get there. Don't worry about it. Everybody in. He just opens a side door. There's like 2 cop corpses in the back. He's like, just sit on them. They don't
shove
fucking
this
matter.
out. It's at this point, it's a full-on Beverly Hills Billies situation. Like people are like sitting on the roof. Basically, you just need to get far enough away that you can jack another couple cars, which isn't tremendously hard. But there's an explosion out front. And in the distance, you actually see an office tower collapse. So a 30-story tower implodes in a kind of like series of explosions. And Azariel kind of turns to Noelle and she's like, really? And he just kind of shrugs. And he's like, we need a distraction, right? Come on, we should go. So you all pile in the car and make your getaway from TJ Malones. Which behind you has become a scene of fire and carnage as the coterie's first and only real home in Montreal burns to the ground. Meanwhile, Everett, you have arrived at Elysium. It's downtown Montreal, and oh boy, is it a busy night. As Sergeant McGregor drives you through town, there is chaos in Montreal. There are squad cars flying everywhere. You can see police on the streets kind of ushering people inside, but the entire town seems to be just going completely bonkers. It would seem that these raids have become truly untenable. Sergeant McGregor, on the other hand, seems very calm about all this. He explains that things were much worse during the Blitz. So he's like pretty, this it's kind of adorable. He's a terrible driver. He's really not very good. But you still have received no text messages back from Iris or from Ridley. You have, however, received a message from Reagan Rowling, who I believe was that is your sire's name, correct?
No.
Who is your sire's name? I don't have my map anymore.
Let me see. Ellen Fuchs.
Ellen Fuchs. I'm sorry. I knew it was a cool lady name. You've received a text message from Ellen Fuchs.
What does that say?
It just says, Everett, there is a gathering of people claiming to be Camarilla. You should see if you can get an invitation. Discover what they're doing. Also, I hope this is your number. I've had some difficulty reaching you.
I'll just reply back Elysium ? And send that. But also, like, very concerned that that Ridley and Iris have not contacted me back. So trying to call them now as well.
You're getting no response because this is midnight showed up. Would you ask McGregor to turn on the police radio?
Yeah.
Okay, so he starts like basically like spinning through different frequencies, and it's madness. What he explains that you can kind of piece together is that because the Inquisition seems to exist at all levels of government, law enforcement, And not everyone is aware that there is an Inquisition or that there are kindred. There's just mass chaos. The fact that the FBI was here kind of tracks with that like there's just kind of a bunch of Inquisition all showed up as quickly as they could and didn't really have good cover stories. They're just kind of like, FBI, don't worry about it. But it means that a lot of these actions across town that have started to go completely off the rails are being carried out by like weird interdepartmental things. So the cops are just all over the map. But you do hear that there's a massive shootout underway at a bar, which I think you can identify as TJ Malones. However, moments later, news comes in that the Glen building has been bombed. An office tower has been attacked and has collapsed in downtown Montreal. So suddenly the timbre of the conversations on the radio changes quite a bit, and McGregor just kind of shakes his head and says, "Oh, they're getting a bit messy out there."
What the hell is going on tonight? Is that Inquisition too?
Could be.
Are they known for blowing up buildings that might have vampires in them?
He turns around and just kind of gives you like a yes look. Says, "There's no end to what the Inquisition will do. But could also be Sabat. Could also be Camarilla. This is kind of my point. We gotta find out what the fuck's happening here."
I gotta find the only two people I can trust in this town, and they're not responding to my calls.
He clears his throat very significantly. 2?
Yeah, 2.
I saved your life, laddie. That should mean something.
I'm not saying you're not among those 2, sir.
Ah, good lad. So, Everett, what do you think you would do to reach Iris and Ridley in a time of legitimate citywide terrorism and chaos?
They're not answering their calls.
Well, actually, sorry. Here's an interesting question. Knights showed up. Ridley ran away. Ridley, you would have received a text message from Everett that you can't read. Would you have sent him a reply when you're in the basement grabbing the shotgun, or would you just be like, fight first, call later?
So dark but realistic description of this. Ridley left the building only just having pulled on pants. He doesn't have any burner phones.
They burnt.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're burnt.
So he would
phones.
know numbers. If he got a phone, he could call people, but he does not have a phone with him.
Okay. All right. And Iris, no. I feel like you're too busy Kali-maing people and vomiting demons into Idris Elba to pay too much attention.
I don't even know if I still have it on me.
Yeah, that's fair. Emily should get a bulk discount at this point. I feel kind of bad. Okay. So yeah, Everett, you've received nothing from either of them then.
Do I have, I don't know if this is a Tom question or an Iris question or both, but do I have Emily's number?
You don't know Emily's back. That was something Iris discovered, but I don't think communicated to anyone. It's been a hell of a night and a half. You guys were shopping. Remember shopping? It was nice.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense to go to this fucking party. Like I told them that's where it would be safe because the Inquisition doesn't know that's where kindred are, and so it's safe to be a vampire there.
Tyler, do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
I think I if that's the instructions I gave them, maybe they can't reply. I go there to see if I can find them. If I can't, then I think Everett would have to leave to try and find them.
Yeah, I understand. So I think what we should say then is for now, you basically pull up and do that awkward thing where you arrive at a party before your friends and you just stand outside, being like, hopefully they'll be here. Also, it seems like McGregor is dropping you off.
Yeah.
Here. So he turns back to Face and he says, so look, again, I know you don't know me, but you said you respect rank, you said you respect following orders, and I get that. I'm a soldier at heart. And there's a lot of vampire society that ain't too good, that I think needs to go. And I hope you see needs to go too. All I'm asking is for you to keep your eyes and ears open and to determine, Everett Fry, if you're the person Billy Kincaid thinks you are, or if you're something worse. If you're actually a monster like the rest of these blood-sucking fucks. We're all on borrowed time, laddie. The real question is, what are you going to do with the rest of yours?
Thanks. I'll have to think on that. Hey, is it just you in your little operation? Are you looking to add more to your numbers?
If you're asking if I want to make more of us, the answer is no. Unless we get another Hitler, in which case, sure. Whatever I need to do to go punch a dick like that in the dick. But till then, no. I don't think there should be any of us.
Well, I know someone who might agree with you. Name of Jocelyn St. James. If you run into her, let her know what you're trying to do and tell her Everett's sorry.
I think you're a good man, Everett Fry. Hope I'm not wrong. I'll see if I can find this Jocelyn St. James for you. And then whoever's doing this voice is going to have to do 2 conflicting accents. And it's going to be a real dog's breakfast.
Oh.
He pats you on the shoulder. And he says, good luck in there. Don't let him change you.
Thanks.
And with that, he takes off into the night. Everett, you step out. You're in downtown Montreal. It's like just a busy metropolitan area. But across the street from you, you can see what would have at one point been a large financial building, like a stock exchange kind of deal. But it has since been converted into a theater known as the Centaur Theater. And it looks closed for the night, as you would expect a spot for Elysium might be. And for a moment, you're worried that maybe Iris got the location wrong, until you see the bobbing of just truly spectacularly coiffed and curled blonde hair. And looking up from his phone, a big broad grin spreads across Dedric's face. And he just says, Everett, hey, oh, you made it. Oh, this is so good. I was really worried I was going to have to go in alone. And usually they make a lot of fun of me. It's so good to see you. Interesting choice of outfit. Did you get shot in the head?
Yeah, I did. Mayday's got hit tonight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's real serious out there, Dedrick. Have you seen Ridley or Iris tonight?
No, they all just said to meet here. I texted Emily, I think. I was trying to get Iris, and I found this just delightful lady who was telling me that she was on her way. So I think she's on her way here.
You spoke to a woman named Emily?
Well, I texted with a woman named Emily, yeah.
Show me.
Kind of pushes his heart-shaped glasses up.
Pull her up. Show me.
It says, hang on, just let me close a couple tabs first. And he just like quickly closes a few tabs. And he's like, okay, here you go. And he passes you a chain of messages. And sure enough, they seem to be to, there's a bunch of unanswered ones to Iris Dunn. And then there's a bunch of messages from Emily saying like, yep, she's on her way. You should expect to see her soon.
I punch the number into my phone and press call.
Right.
And hand the phone back to Dedrick.
So Miles, when you left Emily, you were aware that you'd been texted that they were under attack and you were just like going to help, right? I believe you took a Dinkeldorf cab. Yeah. So Emily would know that shit was going down.
I assume so, because I've kind of found out while I was at the apartment. So I don't feel like I would have just like rushed out without telling her.
So Tyler, are you texting or calling?
Calling.
Great.
Texting is like, Everett is old-fashioned enough that I think he probably prefers a phone call, but understands that like texting is more popular. But like, he's like worried about these people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was mostly asking just so I could figure out what the scene like looks and sounds like. So Emily picks up and she says, Oh, thank God. Everett, hey, are you okay? Is Iris okay? What's going on?
Hey, Emily, are you all right?
Oh, that's so kind of you to ask. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm, I guess I'm kind of a werewolf now. But I met some really cool people. That's all great. But is she okay? She went to try and help. She had a couple of Uzis. I don't think she's ever fired a gun.
Oh my! I haven't seen Iris tonight.
Were you
I
at
was
the bar?
shot in the head. Yeah,
You were shot in the head? Are you okay?
faked my death, blacked out, and woke up somewhere else. I'm okay now. I'm at Elysium, but I have not seen Iris or Ridley since. Well, Iris since yesterday, and Ridley since earlier tonight. I think he got out.
Okay. Look, Everett, she they dosed her with that drug, and she's got a couple doses of that. So I think she might be more okay than you think she would normally be. But also keep an eye on that. She was admittedly very awesome, kind of hot. Don't tell her I said that. It's a Smithers thing. It's a whole thing. Don't let her get hooked on it. Okay. I think it turned her into kind of a cool murder machine, but we don't know that much about it. But
Emily.
I think she'll probably be okay.
Emily, what is it, and who are they?
Oh, funny story. Her brother sold us out to some weird vampire SWAT team. I've been talking to a couple of them, and boy, are they sad that they're still here. But no, it's that drug, Drac.
Drac. Jocelyn was talking about Drac. It does something to vampires?
Yeah, this guy was under the impression that it would just kind of turn her feral and that she'd be very malleable, and that seemed to be their deal. But I think that something went wrong. Her body was resistant to it for some reason. She seemed pretty in control of it, and they seemed all pretty upset about that. Anyway, we killed a lot of them, but we still got one guy here. She said you might want him for a snack. He's in the snack room.
Iris said I might want a kindred spec ops operative for a snack.
Yes. I'm sorry. Was that not correct? I can order you something else. Also, like, we need to find Iris, I think.
Yeah, no, look, if it's safe to keep him around, I'll follow up on that. But
oh, good. Well, don't worry. I'm keeping him alive, like weird kindred charcuterie. I hope you don't mind. I've had to cut him a bit to keep him in line.
Sounds like he deserved it. I'm fine with that.
Okay, great. So listen, the minute you hear from Iris, please let me know. I've been texting her and Mr. Beef, but I haven't been hearing anything from either of them. Also, the Bouchard brothers did respond to my text messages. They said they're on their way.
On their way where?
Oh, to TJ Malones to help. Iris asked me to call them.
That place is a crater by now, I imagine. It was surrounded by cops, FBI, CSIS. More were showing up.
FBI? That doesn't make any sense in Canada.
Yeah, I know. Look, I got to get into this. In retrospect, stupid fucking party.
She legitimately has a laugh. She says, Mr. Fry, I've been trying to get Iris into parties for the better part of a decade. It's so refreshing to hear someone else call these things stupid. But listen, I can't be of much help to you right now. My pack isn't exactly on speaking terms with Kindred. But please, the minute you hear anything, let me know.
And same goes for you, Emily. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. I will. Break a leg? Oh, I'm sorry. That doesn't seem right. And then she just hangs up.
Sure.
At which point you feel an insistent tapping on your shoulder, and Dedrick isn't looking up from his phone, but he's just kind of tapping. And he says, "Oh, Everett, I think, is that them?" And Ridley, what kind of car would you have stolen to fit two coteries, or would you have two cars, or would you call Dinkeldorf cabs?
I feel like Dinkeldorf cabs would be the answer. I can't bring Harvey here, so obviously some of this time translation is like fucking dropping Harvey somewhere.
I think it's safe to say if you're calling Dinkeldorf that you send a cab probably to Emily with Harvey. Shonky has disappeared. The Bear Boys are attacking.
They're doing their
TJ Malones. So you and the Tyrell coterie arrive in cabs, which is kind of funny because it's like very fancy, bloody people stepping out of cabs. But Everett, to your immense relief, a line of Dinkeldorf cabs comes rolling down the street. And as they pull up, you see Azaria Tyrell, who you remember from the club, a bunch of people you don't know. There seems to be a kid on a phone, a sort of like a Lance Reddick type guy with a giant rifle between his legs that he's kind of awkwardly have to like it's a long barreled gun. It doesn't quite fit, but he's kind of got it wedged in there. Azaria, you see Iris, who looks real rough, big black circles under her eyes, elongated fangs. Her lipstick is still on point, but just like generally looking kind of rough. Ridley just in pants.
I was gonna say Ridley steps out.
Were you wearing an FBI jacket at some point?
Cop pants. He was wearing a cop shirt, but it's definitely gone now. Yep. So Ridley just looks like an active burn ward victim. Just like gristle, no hair, no eyebrows, horrific burn wounds, like top to bottom, and he is exceedingly fucking unhappy.
So Everett, you see them roll up. Ridley, Iris, you kind of and Iris, for the record, I think we're going to say that like Azaria is kind of propping you up for this. But you get out of the cab. The three of you have a moment to greet each other.
As soon as I see them like in the cabs showing up, I just like quickly look down to my phone, text Emily, Iris here, looking rough, close my phone, and I'm over there like immediately to check on everyone.
Where the fuck do you go? Could have been fucking useful to have another vampire here. She turned into a giant fucking monster, which was great, but it wasn't fucking enough.
What happened? Where's Harvey?
Oh, Harvey, almost turned into a burnt pile of shit, but he's still breathing, or not breathing, but moving, so I sent him over to fucking Emily. What happened was, I fucking attacked by the police, fucking escape, find out some abomination is killing all the police, think it's you, go back, fucking war with the Inquisition, now I'm fucking here. God, fuck.
And you see him, he's like shaking his hand and one finger is just a bone. He's like trying to shove back into the other bone.
Iris, how do you greet Everett?
You texted me that you needed help, so I came in and tried to help.
You use some of that drac?
How else was I supposed to go in alone? You see what I can do on my own?
You sent her into a fucking war zone. We were out. The fucking coppers fucking leave, then we don't have to murder. Do you know how many fucking police you killed with a fucking invitation to a war zone? Because the numbers in that, probably hundreds at this point.
And with that, the door of the Centaur Theater flies open. And a man with a trim red beard and glasses in an impeccable suit steps out and says, hi, hey, sorry to interrupt. If you are coming in, you need to get in now. Because, and he just kind of like gestures frustratedly to all sides. And that is how the coterie met the sheriff of Elysium, Ryan LaPlante. Ryan LaPlante, sheriff of Elysium, ushers you and the Tyrell coterie into the lobby of the Centaur Theater. Walking inside, you can immediately smell blood. And the small kind of ticketing lobby, which happily is behind, again, an old facade, so there is legitimately some distance from the outside, almost looks like a field hospital. There are kindred all over the place getting bandaged up. There are a couple of servers walking around handing out fresh blood. But the whole place looks pretty rough. That said, there is a bit of a tone of joviality to some extent. in the way that people who've just survived some shit enjoy being out of the shit, if that makes any sense. So the three of you enter a large lobby. Again, you've got the coterie with you. This is also the first time any of you have really plunged into kindred society at all. Iris, despite being pretty roughed up from the Metathiax Drac adventure, your body is sore in a doing a sport you aren't used to doing kind of way, but you're finding now you're able to actually. It's not an elegant walk. It's still a bit of a stagger as your limbs are still gradually de-elongating, but you're basically back to your normal proportions. You are, though, as someone who attends a lot of these events, vaguely horrified because it has been impressed upon you that this is the chance for the coterie to really impress the rest of the Vampire Society. And you kind of look like Samara from The Ring. That said, looking around, everyone looks like shit. And it's funny because everyone is still dressed in their nicest stuff. But it's like everyone in their nice stuff in a World War I field hospital. So the horror you feel at kind of potentially flubbing this social engagement actually lowers a bit because you realize everyone is in the same boat to a point that there's almost a bit of a like it would be like if the fire suppression system went off during a fancy gala and everyone just got like if during the Met Gala and everyone just got hosed and then just had to kind of spend the rest of the Met Gala soaked. There's just that tone of like, yep. It's like when someone stands up in pajama pants on a Zoom call and we're like, nah, yeah, you're at work. It's fine.
Everyone's going through shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you immediately get that sense. But also looking at Ridley, whose fingers dangling and who is clearly very upset over the death of TJ Malone. And Everett,
is he not a little charred too?
Oh yeah, he is like he's a crispy boy.
Yeah, like black skin crackling with blood leaking out. Like he's a disaster.
And Everett has a fucking bullet wound in his head. And you are covered in bruises from where you don't have active blood anymore, but because the Metathiax Drac was running through your system for the first time in a long time, you have bruises kind of everywhere as your body reformed itself. But Noelle seems to be covered in glass and blood from that guy he shot point blank with a sniper rifle. The kid is still pretty impeccably dressed, but again, just seems like a cranky 13-year-old. And there's his tie has been cut in half from his kind of like assault on the Inquisitors, which he seems to have tried to tuck into his pocket in a way that would seemingly make it better, but actually makes it much worse. And Azaria is covered in glass and still has powder from the airbag of the limo all over her. So like, at least you're in good company. That said, this is kind of your deal, so I think you would probably take lead on this. But as Ryan brings all of you in, you have a quick second to confer. Iris, what's the strategy based on everything you've just seen for Everett and Ridley?
Tom, I also just have a quick question on temperament, so I know how to play Ridley in this environment. What happens when a vampire loses a touchstone?
So it's a humanity piece. I'm going to say just being generally upset about it is good for now. Everett isn't aware that he's lost one yet. So that's kind of fine for the moment. What I would like to kind of pitch for all of this is a lot of those concerns we will deal with post-Elysium. I would actually like you to consider Elysium a continuation of the combat we were just in. Because Vampire basically lives in two separate zones of combat. That's why you have both health and willpower. We're now into a willpower combat in a lot of ways, unless, I don't know, you try to punch someone. So we will deal with that. but I think we'll deal with that in one of our downtime sessions rather than right now. So right now, I think you can be feeling the rage of, it's less the, oh my God, I'm losing my grasp on humanity. Right now, it's just, he wasn't in the game.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that mechanically there wasn't anything that popped up that I'd have to play. Because, anger first, sad later. I mean, that's just life.
For sure. Tyler and I had an off-air chat after Iris flipped a card to Billy last session about that, too. So we will be dealing with all that. We just aren't there yet.
Cool.
So, yes, as you're brought in, there is a live piano player playing some tunes. Again, this... If all had gone according to plan, this would be like a lovely black tie event. And there are vestiges of that still hanging on. Miles, what is the game plan that Iris would pitch to these two?
Kind of to stick with me in his area. We'll kind of try to hover around in corners and eavesdrop rather than really try to engage, because clearly we just caused a large ruckus in the city and we don't want to pull too much attention to ourselves.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of people have been involved in this little ruckus. I just want to throw this out there. What if you find out who's in charge, you put a fucking whammy on them, and then you get me in charge of hunting down that fucking Inquisition? Because what I'm saying is, I would like to kill them so fucking hard they win a Darwin Award for daring to fuck with Ridley beef. Fucking TJ, fuck.
I honestly don't know if I have the stamina or the ability to use my special whammy, as you call it. I'm kind of, coming back from being a fucking monster.
My thinking with having everyone rendezvous here is, well, I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but my thinking is there's probably a pretty damn good blood supply here. Maybe help you to freshen up, get you back on your feet.
Well, here's a depressing fact. I'm fucking jammed full. In here's an entire police officer. I couldn't drink a fucking drop, but I'm fucking ruined. I think I need like a fucking week in whatever the vampire equivalent is of a nice beach with a sun. So I don't know, some sort of graveyard with the fucking moon out so I can just dick around.
Iris, someone comes by with a tray of drinks, and Azaria is like waving them over and grabs a champagne flute. And she just kind of looks to you and she says, Iris, drink.
What is it?
Oh, blood. It's blood.
Yes.
Good question, though. That was a smart thing to ask at one of these. And Ryan turns around and is like, yes, it's blood. I'm sorry. This, right. First Elysium for a lot of people here. Also big night all around. Welcome to Elysium. My name is Ryan LaPlante. I'm the sheriff here at this event. I'm a transplant from Toronto, so I apologize if my French isn't great. I'm trying my best. There is blood available in a variety of temperaments. You simply need to ask. Standard rules apply. Don't cause any problems, and you won't have any problems. It's turned out to be a bit of a busy night here in the city, so everyone's in the same boat. Please don't make a big deal of it for other people. Mr. I'm sorry, is your friend okay? He looks like he's been in the sun.
Oh, it's light grenades. Fucking Inquisition with light grenades.
Fucking Inquisition with light grenades. You know what? Fuck those guys.
Okay, you I like.
I like you too. I feel like a kindred spirit here, you know?
Yeah, I feel like flirting with you would be a bit masturbatory, but otherwise I think this is nice.
Yeah,
Is there any kind of special treatment or kindred spa situation on hand for Mr. Beef here?
Oh, we weren't really prepared for this tonight. We didn't realize the Inquisition would be hitting as many coteries as they did. So no, we didn't make any special preparations. That there is blood if you need it. Again, all manner of temperaments. Also, you might want to speak to Mr. Jacob Kane. He, I believe, can assist with some of this. And then he kind of looks at the three of you and he says, hey, I'm sorry, you're your Iris done, right?
Yes.
So, and Azaria kind of sweeps in and says, yes, this is them. And Ryan just kind of nods and says, right. Okay. The prince would like to speak with you later. It's actually very nice to meet you. But he has to say some words first. In the meantime, please have some blood, Mr. Beef. It's a great name. It's the kind of name I would pick if I were to pick one. We again find Mr. Kane. He can help you out a bit. In the meantime, please relax. You're safe here. We've been monitoring all the channels. All the events throughout the city do not seem to be related to Elysium. So good luck. I'm going to go check into some things. Also, check out patreon.com/dumdumdice.
Here they're cool.
Bye. And then he wanders off.
That man sounds like he should be on the radio.
How are we going to find this Mr. Kane?
Well, so Iris did propose an interesting plan, which was to try and just gain some sort of social knowledge while you wait. You do get the sense that this kind of feels like the cocktail hour before, like between wedding ceremony and like mealtime, where everyone is just stuck in weird limbo while things get ready. So I would encourage you to look to your sheets and see what kind of skills you would like to apply. Keeping in mind that this is a social sphere, but could also be a mental sphere if you want to observe things. And let me know what you would like to try and do, and I'll tell you what stats to use.
I immediately off the cuff want to know, how clear is it to more, we'll say, direct folks like Ridley and Everett that this is going to be sort of like a social combat scenario where manipulation and seduction or intimidation might be in play?
I think it was clear from the moment you both had to go to the mall to get fancier outfits.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like just in one of those ways where you're like, again, like I worked in a suit for a long time, so I'm not uncomfortable in suits, but I know a lot of my friends when they put on a suit are just like, oh, what is, I don't, what? And both of you kind of already had that experience, but I think also knowing that's what you're headed into means that you would have set your expectation for that. Also, based on what you've been told by Dederick, who's also with you, I should add, there is the pomp and circumstance of it. And sure enough, people are wearing some ridiculous bullshit. And Everett, particularly for you having just dealt with Sergeant McGregor, like if Sergeant McGregor were to go to an Elysium, he would show up in that World War II dress uniform. Like it literally seems like everyone is kind of, if we're, Miles just finally showed me Roald Dahl's The Witches, like the good, less offensive one.
The hotel one.
And yeah, and just like literally, it's like all the witches like finally be like, oh fuck, we can just be witches. It's that kind of vibe where all of the vampires who are from different eras of history in different parts of the world can finally just kind of admit that they're vampires for a hot second and wear whatever they actually think is fashionable. It's a very like What We Do in the Shadows moment of just like, oh fine, great, like I can finally wear my fur cloak because I'm in a place where that's safe. Which is why Ridley got his weird like fucking Miami Vice outfit, and you just got like a slightly more you outfit, because for the two of you, that is just kind of who you are. And looking around, you're seeing a lot of that.
Okay.
All right, so I think Ridley would be like, all right, I'll go try to talk to the fucking scumbags. And he'd basically be looking, I think, for the criminal element. His plan would be pretend he's fine. He looks like dog shit. He feels like dog shit. But if he pretends that this is normal for him, then he'll seem more kind of scary-ish.
And admittedly, like, you see people with, like, arms in slings and stuff. Like, everyone is kind of fucked up. So it's a little bit like, you know, you're at a refugee camp after a massive natural disaster hit. Everyone's a little fucked up.
Yeah, so I feel like it for low level, like kind of like thug gangbanger types, he'd be playing up more on like shit talking the orphans, because odds are they've had problems for anybody, or like finding out how people faced off with the Inquisition. And then if he meets anybody he'd recognize kind of like boss wise or seeming higher up, he'd probably try to guess with them or talk to them about like the police response, what will happen now that this night has been such a disaster, like between the recent events. What do they think the spin's going to be? How's it going to affect the streets, etc.?
Okay, so I've got Ridley on Underworld and Crime. Iris, who would you be trying to find? Or would you be trying to just kind of overhear? What would your tactic be?
Yeah, I think she's gonna kind of just eavesdrop where she can and sort of suss out and see who comes to her, like who is aware of them.
So we've established that you and Azaria are buds, and that you do have a relationship now after several kind of encounters, and you helped her out. She gave you the weird like flesh crafting cover to dodge your murder rap. My question to you as Iris is, how much do you actually trust Azaria? Would you want to meet people with her, or would you kind of do your own thing?
I don't trust her, but I know that she knows people, so I think I would allow her to introduce me.
Okay. So it's still a tentative, like, I'm going to let you open doors for me, but I'm not going to tell you where the bodies are buried. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's necessary.
Okay, so basically then you'll kind of almost be on, for lack of a better term, official, like, delegate duty. Like, go meet the people, shake the hands, try and...
I think I was always going to be on that duty.
Oh, for sure. It's just been a hell of a night, and you turned into a monster a few hours, like an hour ago, so I'm just checking. Okay, so we've got Ridley on Underworld. We've got Iris on delegate, sort of official... Which, honestly, I feel like we're doing a redux of the field museum adventure in your past. It's nice. Tyler, what would Everett be doing?
I think per Iris's suggestion, he'll stick with her, of like just hanging back. I think his ability to read, his investigative mind for like reading people and reading situations might come in handy to help her pick more pliable or important people.
Okay, so you're basically
so
gonna
like
be
target
her,
acquisition and then letting her know.
Okay, great. Yeah, so kind of like her aide, but also her bodyguard.
Yeah, and I think I have to address it. I'm in a room packed with my prey of choice.
Yep.
So I think the beast is also kind of under the surface, picking out weak targets, especially with people that have been in fights earlier this evening and been attacked and stuff like that, looking for like a wolf looking for like a lamb or an old
What level
goat.
of hunger are you at? You're at 4?
4, yeah.
Christ. Okay, so yeah, the beast is like knocking on the door.
Yeah, I think Everett is consciously thinking about that Black Ops operative being kept in the snack room, but I think it's worth mentioning just for you to put into play that the beast might not be that patient.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tyler. I'm glad you brought it up. I think it's worth considering that this is also the most kindred you have ever experienced in one place.
Yeah.
Ever, anywhere, like beyond, and where both Iris and Ridley have now gone out hunting, and it's literally a buffet of just, it could be any human, despite Ridley's particular predilection. This is pretty overwhelming, I think, particularly with that amount of blood. So Tyler, I'm going to make you roll a rouse check, please.
Do hunger dice matter for rouse checks?
A rouse check is just a straight D10 pass fail.
Okay, so it's a 10, so it's just a pass.
Pass, great. So currently you're keeping the beast at bay. I'm going to make you roll these a couple times throughout Elysium, but right now it's bad. You're hungry and you're in a literal buffet. But also, given your hangups about all of this, it's not like you don't have a Kyle Minogue you can convince it's a sex thing and then just be like, great, I got food. That's not how Everett operates. So there's no version of this where I think you could like finagle a meal.
Yeah.
It could happen here, and likely there are other vampires with the same problem you have, but they've probably embraced that this is their deal.
Okay.
And you have not.
I'd like to then just let you know. It looks like it's like instance to instance because it doesn't appear to have a rouse check or anything like that. But I am going to be depending on my unswayable mind. I had my dots in fortitude as extra dice to resist coercion, seduction, intimidation, or any other attempt to sway my will.
Oh, okay. That's
Figure
very
for
cool.
social combat. That's important.
Yep, for sure. And I think, yeah, that's very good to know. Great. Okay. So in that case, Ridley, I need from you, please. Either
I was trying to pitch a streetwise composure, but we'll see what we get.
yeah, I take that. That's great.
Nope.
And Miles, from you, I would say I would take an insight or etiquette and charisma, composure, or wits.
3 successes for Ridley.
Given you a wide variety of things you could be great at or terrible at. And then Tyler, from you, if I could grab, please, investigation and resolve.
Do I still have that one hunger from the...
No,
Crack.
he has bled out of you. So no, you are now you've got it's so strange. You're the only one of the three of you that Elysium is actually a perfect scenario for. You can slate your thirst as much as you want here because they are just bringing food by and you have no preferences. So your hunger is absolutely clear.
Sorry, yeah, that's 3 successes for Ridley.
Okay.
4 successes for Everett. One of them is a 10 on a regular die, and one of them is a 10 on a hunger die.
Messy successy! Yay!
Sheriff of Elysium, Ryan LaPlante says as he accidentally knocks over a bunch of glasses of wine, blood wine, I guess.
I go
And he's
ape shit and kill him.
Yeah, but they spill all into one blood barrel. So that's why he knows it's successy.
Yep. Miles, what'd you pull?
One blood barrel.
5 successes and 4 of them are 10s. Because that happened.
Wow. Okay, we're going to come back to that. I almost need a break to sort out what the fuck that looks like. Good God.
Please use those to help me unfuck the pooch I just...
Fuck
Oh,
that
man,
pooch.
that pooch is fucked. Okay. Holy shit. Okay, so Ryan, knowing that Montreal is big on mob stuff, but also to the best of your knowledge, you're the only Nate Nostra representative here. You're looking for underworld types. You rolled 3 successes. What would your you can't have your ideal mobster with 3. What's your like runner up for the kind of person you want to find?
Runner up would probably be like an armored car heist guy or like a bank robber, like somebody who's got a specialty and who's criminally linked, but isn't part of an outfit that would have real sway. So they'd know rumors, but they wouldn't be making rumors, if that makes sense. Like they wouldn't be the one making big moves.
Sure. Okay. So you meet a guy who is just so unfortunately decked out in Jay's gear. He's just one of those people who clearly he decided that was his thing and he bought it. So he's wearing a backwards Jay's cap, and it's like the old school Jay's cap, which also I should point out, it's one of the few things I know about Montreal. Kind of an affront in Montreal, home of the Montreal Expos, the long dead baseball team that everyone still like holds a torch for.
Yeah, Ridley doesn't know anything about the sports. He's like, I guess he likes birds.
Yeah, honestly. Like bright blue windbreaker. He's wearing like blue sweatpants. And he is Ridley, he's kind of like one of your favorite types of mid-level gangsters, because he wouldn't be here, and he certainly wouldn't be kindred if he wasn't capable, but he's also got a baby face. Like he is kind of like a DJ Quails looking motherfucker, but like circa the new guy, like young DJ Quails. And unfortunately, because he's kindred, that's just where he's stuck. So he's like a scarecrow in a jacket. And has a couple of like embarrassing trying to grow a beard mustache, like super blonde. Also like the Dwight equivalent in UK Office, who's also in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Gareth?
Yeah, Gareth. Like young Gareth. Like just that kind of like awkward guy, hands shoved in his pockets. And you hear him say, like, as you approach, just going like, yeah, it was wild. They tried to hit our safe house. We had this great late night ice cream parlor. It was one of those like bougie ones where you could put like expensive toppings like bacon on your ice cream. Anyway, they hit, but like I had my getaway car ready to go. So just everybody piled in and I drove them away. And they're like, Junior, you're the best driver. And I was like, you're fucking right, I am. Anyway, that's how we survived. It was awesome. That's why you always go with Junior J's, right? And he holds up a hand for high fives and no one gives him a high five.
And I think Ridley just steps in looking like a fucking horror show. Like he just looks like something from a creep show poster. But he high fives the guy and he's like, that's why we always got to have the right driver. If you can't fucking get away, what's the point in getting in there?
Yeah, this guy gets it. Oh, hey, do you want your palm skin back? I think it's stuck on. And as you look down, you realize that like bits of your hand stuck to his hand.
All right, well, I'll be honest. Normally I'd take your wrist and reach down and just smear it on this, person who's asleep right here, but I don't want to touch you again. It seems like I'm making a mess. The name's Ridley Beef. People call me the Riddler.
Riddler, nice to meet you. My name is Jason Joseph, or JJ, which eventually somehow became Junior J's. So go Junior J's. That's what I tell myself. That's my mantra. I'm a getaway driver. I do some pretty good heists on like armored vehicles and stuff. Basically all the things you as a player described, I do those. That's
Nice.
me.
So, I mean, clearly you've got an idea of what's going on around town. Like a big move like this, it's got to be fucking heard of. And it's stunning that nobody knew what the coppers were going to do. So, I mean, we got any Sabat outfits that you think could be causing troubles? Is this straight up orphan bullshit? Is there someone else on the prowl?
Oh, man. Fuck the orphans. I know those guys. They suck. I don't know. We were just doing our ice cream thing and then we got curb stomped. We lost half our coterie. How many did you lose?
Fucking hell. Well, luckily we didn't lose anybody of the coterie,
shit.
but we lost.
You guys are awesome.
We lost somebody that was close to my heart. So those FBI, CSIS, Inquisition, cunts. Fucking problem. Fucking miserable. Fuck. You know who the prince is?
We cut to Iris and Everett with Azaria. Jesus Christ. You both rolled so many successes.
Some of them messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miles, I think I'm just actually going to hand this off to you. Who is the ideal person that Iris would want to find at this kind of thing? Prior to the prince arriving. The prince obviously isn't here yet. But other than that, like what would be the most valuable get you could have at this point?
I don't know that she knows who that would be. It's
okay, that's fair.
Ridley that knows like kind of more of the structure and the inner workings. I don't think Iris would even know who to ask for or who would seem important.
I would say
she'd probably go to the one, like she'd probably find the one that was the best dressed and be like, that one looks important.
I will say, Miles, I think based on Iris's experience of going to these galas and these events, you probably have a pretty good gut check on who is important. And honestly, best dressed isn't a bad way to go. I think weirdly, by walking into this room, you realize looking around that this is less a kindred event and more just a status event. So I don't know if that changes things for you, but I weirdly think, yes, you don't know about Vampire Society, but I will also say there is a bit of a, you rolled so high, I'm just basically going to show you my notebook at this point. There's a vibe of a bunch of people showing up at university orientation going on. This is the idea of Elysium is a tradition in the Camarilla that's gone back quite some time, but there's never been one here. So there's a bit of a sense like you were worried you were stepping into an old ritual, and you actually discover now that you're stepping into something that is vaguely amorphous. There's a buzz in the air, an energy that seems to suggest excitement, but also everyone seems to be as confused about this event as you are. So that's the insight I'll give you. Does that change things, or are you still going to find the best dressed? Best dressed is also a totally fair way to go.
Yeah, either the best dressed or the ones that just don't seem to care that they're there.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I feel like if they're important and they know, if they're important to know, this won't be a big deal for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you see a guy decked out in full, like 1800s Prussian general gear. He's got like a little, like a felt hat with a fucking spike on it. He's got like a big sash, big dude, monocle, walrus mustache, the whole deal. Stands out like a fucking sore thumb. Would you go talk to that guy, or would you talk to a guy who looks a little bit like Billy Idol at the top, like height of his career? So short, spiky blonde hair, punk jacket, is smoking a cigarette, will just idly browsing a theater program.
I mean, Miles would go for the Billy Idol guy, but
we'd all go for the Billy Idol guy. But who would Iris go for?
Let's go for the Prussian guy. He's interesting.
Okay. So you start to approach the man with the walrus stash, and immediately to like a big lady and a big dude in suits just kind of step in front of you. And from behind them, you see him just kind of look up and say, no, please. I would be very happy to talk to famed poet Iris Dunn. Please, one side.
Connery?
One side. And he ushers you in, and immediately out of nowhere, like a thin guy in a butler suit, like seems to appear, dropping an hors d'oeuvre. You can just immediately feel, given that you're still a little bit extra sensitive, that this is a human who's with him. And he just says, the Baron Magellan greets famed poet Iris Dunn, and he looks to you, Everett. Iris, would you introduce Everett, or would you let Everett introduce himself?
I'd probably introduce him.
Okay, go ahead and roll me an etiquette and composure check, please. And don't worry, Tyler. I haven't forgot about the messy successy. We're just, running some things first.
I'm not freshly worried. Just kind of that constant worry.
Lingering,
that hits me when I play this game.
Oh, so just 2020. Just 2020 in general is looming over you. Yeah, fair.
Three successes.
Okay. How do you introduce Everett Fry?
As my page.
Baron Magellan nods, like with a great deal of respect and circumstance. Says, good. Ha! It's always nice to see someone who understands the pecking order, as it were. These days, everyone's so busy with their unions, they barely think to consider their betters, as you and I truly are. Miss Dunn. And he stands up with more grace and dexterity than you'd expect, and like sweeps his little helmet off and bows low. And he says, please join me in my booth. His booth is not a booth. It's just a corner of the room with a table that he has some people standing around. But you get the sense that it really matters to him, that he feels important.
Of course.
Azaria gives you like a quick wink and then very politely fades away. And the Baron says, so, Miss Dunn, understand you had a bit of a run-in with the law. Did you, in fact, kill that son of a bitch Stevenson?
A lady never tells after she eats.
Ha! He like slaps his page on the back and like knocks him over. Says, your reputation precedes you. This is excellent. Well, welcome to Elysium. I assume this is your first.
Yes, it is. It's all very intriguing.
Miles, what is the name of your sire?
I don't remember.
Is it on your sheets? Because again, I don't have our murder
It's
map.
in the It's in the corner over there.
I'm on camera. I can't
If you've got your stats on your vampire page, it should
but I've
be
got, like-
top left-hand corner. If you're looking at your attributes and your skills.
Yeah, but I lost one, and Tom redid it, and I don't think he
okay.
didn't put it on there.
Tom, why don't you go check that corner, baby? You can leave that
will.
camera for a minute. Yeah.
As I go, Everett, you are left standing, observing this happening as the beast pulses in your head. Please tell the folks at home, what are your thoughts about Baron Magellan?
Everett's thoughts about Baron Magellan. I don't know if this is the messy successy talking right now or not, but let's assume that it is, since the beast is pulsing. He is basically doing, to borrow a phrase, an ocular pat down, and trying to basically assess how easy it would be for him to kill and eat this man. And then I think his eyes go over to this page who was kind of had the wind knocked out of him and faltered forward with a firm pat on the back and probably thinks like, no, that's the one. And tries to regain composure before he acts on any of these impulses.
Interesting. There's something fascinating to me about the idea that Everett is so far gone at this point that he's looking at a mortal being like, maybe.
Oh,
Like
I
that
didn't
a
realize
lot.
it was mortal. Sorry. I thought it was all
no, I
kindred.
don't think you do notice that it's
Okay.
immortal because the beast. Walter Sims is the name I could not grasp from our big old murder map, which I have to update because half the characters on this are dead now because of last session. So Baron Magellan says, Walter and I go back quite a ways. He spoke very highly of you. I helped him get permission, as it were, to make you. So you're welcome, I suppose.
Well, I'm very grateful.
Oh, good. Yes. Well, welcome to Elysium. I've been to several of these, but never in such an elevated position. It is truly an exciting time here in Montreal, as you and your coterie seem to know you've been making quite a name for yourselves.
We're just trying to keep everything in order.
Ah, well, we at the Camarilla love order. Ha, ha, ha. So tell me, Iris Dunn, what do you want from the City of Black Miracles, Montreal? I understood you were driven out of Chicago by your ne'er-do-well brother.
Yes, I mean, ultimately, if I had my way, I'd just be existing here without having to interfere in stupid things that my brother pulls me into, but alas, that's not my lot.
Ah, yes. We've all been handed a much different lot in life. And he gestures broadly to his, old Prussian gear, and he's like, honestly thought the Great Wall would go quite differently for me. Nope. But I assume the prince will set all things to rights. But in any case, Iris, it was lovely to meet you. Is your squire all right? So Everett, the beast is pounding on the inside of your head. You've got a messy successy.
My role was for scanning the crowd, right? Because it was an investigation.
Yep.
And resolve. So what does a messy successy for that role look like? I have my ideas, but if you have,
I'm
and
always
ready to
curious to
roll.
hear yours.
I think unintentionally it basically flips from the conscious search for important people to chat up to get Iris to chat up. It flips from that being the conscious thing to subconscious, and the subconscious urge to find someone to hunt coming to the fore. So now I think just as he's looking around, I think the the search is the same, but the objective is different.
I like that a lot. I think that's great.
Okay.
Okay, so it's time to roll on the wheel of victims, except they aren't kind. They're kindred. So Tyler, go ahead and roll me a D100 and divide it in two, baby. And you rolled 4 successes, so I'll let you roll twice.
Okay. Just someone hold. I'll write it down. Number 23. Six. So, 46 actually becomes 23, and 23 becomes what? 12?
Let's say 12.
Yeah.
23 and 12.
Okay, great. So 12 and 23. Oh boy. Very good. Okay. So Tyler, the two potential victims you fixate on. One is a nurse. He seems to be a young man. Think like a Riz Ahmed type. He is clearly kind of stumbling around in a stupor, and is helping tend to kindred wounds. He seems very, very good at whatever he's doing. He's in full medical scrubs, but he's also wearing like an outdoor coat over top of it. We, the audience, would be aware that he is kind, so mortal. But I think based on how badly your hunger is pulsing, you're having a hard time differentiating anymore. So you've got him. Your other potential target is a kindred who is very clearly to probably, if say Ridley was looking, has very much fallen under I forget the actual terminology on this, but like the blood. You're immune to it, Tyler, but the
Blood bond.
The blood bond. Is clearly blood bonded to another vamp who is a guy who is just wearing he's basically just dressed for like a nice night out, but he has this other vampire following him around. The other vampire is just kind of like a vaguely out of shape, but still very handsome guy who's just kind of like following him around. Stepping very heavily behind him, but seems to be just doting on his every command, and just looks at him the way like Ripley looks at me when I have treats in hand. So just like very much clearly blood bonded to this other vampire. Those seem to be your two best targets. The blood bonded vampire, in that he seems to be pretty out of it and not really paying much attention to much. And the nurse, because similarly, he seems to be a bit out of it. I think that's ultimately what Everett starts to notice, in the same way that as a cop, you would notice people who are high and be like, oh, this might be a problem if this person's like really jacked up on coke or some other drug that just gives them a lot of like energy and excitement. I think you notice the two people at this party who seem kind of the most out of it, and also who are kind of being ignored, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So Everett, you've described this one kindred as being blood bonded. Everett doesn't necessarily know all the ins and outs of blood bonding, but he has seen Martha.
Yes.
Up close, and the effects of prolonged, or not necessarily. She wasn't blood bonded, really, was she? She was like hypnotized.
No, she was like
fed, glamored.
If I'm remembering correctly, you guys fed her enough of Iris's blood to blood bond her.
Okay, sorry, you're right. I misremembered. Okay.
No, it's all good. That was like a lifetime ago.
Right. Okay.
2020 time.
Okay. Cool. I also know from Martha, funny enough, that I can drain a kindred dry and I only feel great. So I think I'm going to go for the blood bonded kindred.
Iris, can you? I don't even think you need to roll for this. As you're talking to the Baron, you have a momentary vision of a stage, and you're in the audience. You can smell burnt flesh, and you feel like Ridley is beside you. And on stage, you see Everett on his knees and a blade sweeping down through his neck. And as you kind of like have that exact Megan Miles reaction you just had of kind of like blinking and pulling back, your eyes fall on a woman who is standing alone and seems to be talking to herself off in a corner with blazing red hair, a light dusting of freckles, and kind of a vaguely distant look in her eyes. And as you see her, she kind of looks up and locks eyes with you and almost tilts her head. And you get double vision. As you see her, the image of Everett being decapitated starts to fade. And then suddenly reality snaps back in and you see Everett stalking towards a Seth Rogen type guy who's following around another vampire. What do you do?
I'm definitely going to intercept Everett.
I'll also say, Miles, if you want to roll a check to try and get more clarity on what you just saw, you can. It'll be a mental check.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with... if your immediate instinct is to solve this, we could go with resolve. If it's you trying to puzzle it out, we could go with wits. I'm actually open to your interpretation of what you think Iris's version of this would be. But it'll be that plus... fuck, I just want a cult. Oh, there is a cult. Ha! But I don't think you have that skill. I'm trying to figure out what your auspics would fall under. Awareness. So awareness and either wits or resolve.
Okay.
Or intelligence, I guess.
Do I have its intelligence make sense to you, or
it's how you think Iris, like, and this is one of those weird times where you as a player need to separate what's most beneficial from your character from what you think your character would do. How do you think Iris, in having just seen this vision and knowing she needs to solve it, what are the
it's
things
probably wits.
Okay.
Two successes.
Okay. You get the sense that this red-haired woman might be the solution to your vision. You're not sure how. You don't quite know how it fits. But if Everett continues on his current trajectory, your vision will come true.
Okay. Can I grab him by, like, the back of his shirt and pull him with me towards this woman? Can I solve both my problems?
I'm going to need an opposed check because he got a messy successy, so he is locked in. Miles, I think from you, probably composure and persuasion. And Everett, from you, survival and stamina, please.
One success, one failure. I only have 2 dice to roll.
5 successes.
Okay, yes, you can do that. So you grab him by the collar and start to pull him. Everett, at this point, I think you're so hungry that despite the kind of almost visceral shark-like determination to get to food, you're also kind of weak enough that someone grabbing you and pulling you away, you just don't really have much resistance left.
Yeah, I was forming a plan. I think I think even though vampires are my prey, I still hunt like a vampire. So I think I'm still open to like outside like sensory things and stuff like that. Unless you were thinking
No, I love that.
it's like
No,
just like blood in the water, I go and I
No, not at all.
Okay.
Particularly
Okay.
because the messy success he came, to your point, in scanning the room, not going for the target, in which case we'd be having a much different conversation
yeah.
involving your head coming off. Great. So Iris begins to drag you. Iris, what do you say to Everett as you drag him away?
Get yourself together and let me try to help you, because this is going to go real bad and real quickly if you don't pull it together.
Do you know what I am and what I have to do?
I have an idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And with that, you drag him over to this woman. And again, she seems to almost be picking at her hair, like just kind of considering it and playing with it a bit. And immediately she snaps her sort of green eyes up to the two of you, and she says, "Oh, yes. Are you sure? Yeah. Yeah, I think we can help." And then she just holds out her wrist to you, Everett.
I don't. Right
Everett,
here,
do
I
it.
don't.
Everett, do it.
She just leans in and says, "It's okay, dear. We're married. We're spoken for. This means nothing. Just pretend it's erotic. Trust me. It's the best way this can go." And then she like more aggressively shoves her arm at your face.
I think that like level of closeness, as well as her like speaking into my ear like that, is just like, I think the dam breaks, and yeah, Everett just digs in.
And as you do, she kind of winces, and looks to you, Iris, and says, "Listen, we're not quite sure who you are, but I think we're both in agreement you did the right thing here. He is a thirsty man. I'm Sorcha, and also this is my wife, Fiona. Who are you?"
My name's Iris Dunn, and how did you know what we needed?
It's a very long story involving some very strange magic. In the meantime, and then she just like holds out her other hand to shake yours. Says, long story short, 2-in-1 combo. Suspect we've got similar abilities here. But looks like it's finally happening. So Ridley, as you're asking about who the prince is, Everett, as you're finally getting a snack, you can knock yourself down to 2 hunger.
Wow.
And Iris, as you've narrowly avoided Everett being killed, Ryan LaPlante reappears on the scene and kind of like brings silence to the crowd, and says, "Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan, but like actual Ryan. And thank you for joining us at this extraordinarily strange Elysium. All of you have made it through something truly horrific tonight to be here. And I know that our prince appreciates it. And I know he has some plans for all of us. So without further ado, the Marquis de Montcalm, Louis Joseph Montcalm," and he gestures, and a man comes out who looks a bit like a younger, thinner James Gandolfini. He's wearing a powdered white wig, and just like a truly archaic blue, like 1700s French outfit. So like, the tall socks and that whole thing. And he steps out and kind of gestures very grandly to everyone and says, "It is very good to be back. And my friends, my fellow kindred, it is a much changed world from the one I knew. And it would seem, based on what I've been told, that tonight has turned this into a much different world than what you knew as well. The Inquisition has come to New France. And then Ryan leans in and whispers something. He says, right. Canada. Montreal. Christ. My friends, as I understand it, there was a tremendous failure here, and I will admit to a part of that. That coward wolf was part of it. I got shot in the back on my way here, which was truly bad. And I have spent a long time underground. But I am back, and the Camarilla is back. I know they call this place the City of Black Miracles. They say it is Sabbat territory. I am here to tell you that is no longer the case. Montreal is open for business. And my friends, by fang and by claw, we are going to take this city back from the anarchs, back from the Sabbat. We will make sure the kind blood flows through the streets at an appropriate rate. But my friends, I am here to tell you, this is now the land of opportunity. There is no Camarilla presence here until this night. And you, all of you who survived the purge, you are the ones who will rebuild this city. So tell me, how ambitious are you? Because tonight, I decide who owns Montreal. And I would like to begin with the Dunn coterie. And then his eyes find you, Iris, and he says, Iris Dunn. Apparently you are you will forgive an old man, a woman poet. Very impressive. I understand that you and your coterie, Mr. Buff and a Monsieur Fry, have been doing some tremendously good work. So tell me, how far are you willing to go to control the entire West End of Montreal? And Iris, you feel all eyes turn to you. And you realize, for the first time, that your fame has preceded you. Not as a famous poet, but as part of a coterie. And it would seem that the three of you are rather fucking vampire famous.
This episode of Blood and Syrup features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Megan Miles at Meggie Miles on Twitter, and Storyteller Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and all of Dum Dums and Dice's logos are by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. That's MRKR. Our theme songs are What's Really Going On Right Now by Chase Allen Willis and Traffic by Kai Engel, and all our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, that's JAHZZAR. All of their music is available on freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We've also got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon of Darkness at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Sleep well, children of the night. Spooky.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord Abradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.